Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're here for the Republican Party of Texas Convention, live in Houston. I'm Brandon Walters, the managing editor of Texas Scorecard. Right now, we've got State Senator and Republican nominee for Land Commissioner Don Buckingham. Don, thank you so much for stopping by. What has been your impression so far of the convention? You've been here since Wednesday, you said.
We have. You know, the convention is awesome. People are fired up. It's good to be back in person after the virtual event last time, and I think everybody's just really ready to carry that message of liberty and prosperity out to the voters of Texas and win this red wave.
What have been the priorities that you've heard from talking to delegates here? What are the things that are at the top of people's minds, you think, right now as they prepare to craft the platform and priorities in the next couple days?
You know, it's I think, of course, the border is number one on everyone's mind, and we want that completely secured and complete operational control. But it's also the economy. I talked to a lot of people who not as many delegates could come because they couldn't afford the gas to get here. Inflation's through the roof. It's just making it too expensive for our families to manage, and that's where I think we win. It's the messages that unite us that we can bring to those voters across the state. That's where we're going to be flipping seats. We've already seen one flip. I think it's going to be an exciting election cycle.
Yes, because you served, I think it was in 2018, right, as Victory Chair. So you've seen a little bit of how the operation works, how Republican victories happen in November. Do you think this is going to be a red wave kind of year for Republicans?
I think we're going to see a huge red wave, and we're all going to have to work very hard to do that. We're going to have to come together. We're going to have to keep the messages that unite folks, leave the divisive areas alone, but bring in that unity, get the voters out. And, you know, I'm starting to make it a hobby out of beating who I call Poser O'Rourke. So it's time for him to stop running. So third time's the charm, we hope.
Yeah, exactly. He's the only person who keeps trying to fail up and fail for different positions. We'll see what happens this time. Assuming you win in November, which I think, you know, you look at things, is probably a pretty good assumption of the way that Democrat trends are going right now. Assuming you're the land commissioner, what's the number one thing you're most excited about being in that position versus your experience being in the Texas legislature?
You know, there's so much I'm excited about in the General Land Office. Of course, we're a huge part of where the border can be built on state lands. We'll be jumping into that full swing. We'll be jumping into the Alamo, being sure we're not redesigning our Texas history. We also run the state lands. We're a big part of oil and gas. We're going to be sure that we are drilling, producing that energy, which, you know, most people don't even know that Texas is producing the majority of gas and oil for the whole country right now. So while Biden is actually saying, hey, let's reach out to Venezuela, let's get more oil and gas from Venezuela and Russia, which ironically, you know, we're giving them money to fund their advancement in Ukraine. I mean, we're saying drill, baby, drill in Texas. So we're going to be a big part of that, plus the funding education and helping our veterans. It's so much of what I'm most passionate about in the state.
Yeah, there's a lot there, and I want to go back to one thing you said, because it's probably the number one question we get anytime we talk about the Land Commission, which is the Alamo. So 100%, there's no reimagining the Alamo.
No reimagining the Alamo. They're actually, I was speaking to the Alamo folks the other day. They're going to get ready to start restoring the cenotaph in its current location, not moving it an inch. But the way they do that is they're going to have to lift the roof off of it. So I've asked for an elevated observation platform where people can come watch everything that's going on, and a webcam trained in there so that we're watching every second of every day exactly what's happening at the cenotaph, being sure it's in line with our principles and priorities.
Switching topics a little bit here, you have some history being in local government. What do you make of some of the conservative victories we saw in school boards back in May?
You know, I joke that I ran for school board before school board was cool.
Yeah.
So I was on the Lake Travis School Board, actually vice chair of the State Board of Educators certification. Clearly, I've gotten really engaged in our school board elections. I think people are finally waking up about how important those local elections school board, the State Board of Education, their mayors. We had kind of lost that ground a lot as conservatives, and so I'm very excited that people are paying attention and changing the makeup of those school boards, but we still have a ways to go on that, but we need to keep fighting on that front.
What do you think is, you know, as someone who's a concerned parent, because we've written a lot about it, right? Is people finding out what's going on in their schools, and they're shocked, right? Their parents that are surprised to be finding out about this. What's like the number one thing they should be doing?
You know, parents need to be talking to their school boards. They need to be going during the public testimony part of the school board. They need to be volunteering in the schools to understand it. You know, it's really funny. The other day, one of my very good friends in one of our conservative schools out in Lake Travis was volunteering at her son's elementary school, and 5 kids kind of walked out in kind of animal costumes, and she thought, oh, maybe it was a theme day. Well, those are the furries. So we've gone beyond the transgender now to the furries that are literally demanding litter boxes in their classrooms, and somehow this is deemed okay. So it is, we need to be present, we need to be observing, and we need to be sure that our schools are a reflection of our community values.
Yeah, it just shows the slippery slope on those issues. For folks who want to follow your campaign and see what you're doing and we'll be doing the Land Commission, where can they go do that?
DawnBuckingham.com.
DawnBuckingham.com. That's an easy one. Thank you so much, Senator Buckingham, for joining us. Thank you for joining us.